Hi, I am Dr. Anthony Edwards, and I'm the instructor for higher education history. That's ELHE 5300. And this is a fall 2024 course, 3 hours, 3 credit hours. You can see my contact information there, as well as my office hours. And in terms of preferred communication, I prefer to be communicated with using the Canvas inbox over email. Um, So I try to respond quickly during office hours. I should be able to respond between, or at least within 48 hours. And in terms of what the course is about, basically you get an overview of the global history of higher education and of the development of the higher education system in the United States. So some of the major course assignments that you're going to have in this course, things like weekly chapter discussions, you'll have become a higher education history expert group assignment where you essentially work together on a literature review. You'll have a higher education history observation assignment, a higher education history interview group assignment where you each will interview someone related to a topic that you all select. And you'll have a higher education history webinar or podcast group assignment, and you'll have a higher education history symposium where you essentially do a group presentation. You'll present the work that you've done throughout the course of the semester. All right. And you also turn in a group paper on that. So you'll take the work that you've done and build a paper as well. And you also have a final exam. All right. So this course uses open educational resources, which means you will not have to buy a textbook for this class. So you are welcome to buy it if you choose to. All right. But again, here's the textbook that we use in the class. It's accessible via this link using the Tarleton Library databases. And you won't have to buy that book. If you choose to buy it, you're welcome to do so, but you're not required to. All right. Some people do prefer a physical copy. There are no prerequisites for this course. Students, who complete this course, should be able to do the following: gain historical perspective on the history of higher education in the U.S. and around the world. And you should be able to describe historical trends in higher education as well as connect higher education history to current practice. So we'll focus mostly on the history, but as we get toward the end of the course, we'll start talking about how it relates to current issues. All right. Although you're certainly welcome to discuss the connection between past and present throughout the course. All right. So again, we have our group discussions. We have a pre-course statement of understanding where you basically just tell me what you know about higher ed history. And it's, if you know a lot, great. If you don't, fine. It just gives us a place to start. We have a post-course statement of understanding where you show what you learned. We have, again, the group assignments, the become an expert assignment, the observation, the interview, the webinar or podcast, and the group presentation and paper. All right. And the final exam. So normal grading scale here. All right. So in terms of feedback, expect to get feedback from me on your assignments in Canvas, and make sure you read those, read the feedback. Don't just look at the grade, but I give feedback on things like how you use APA format to do your citations and references, how thorough your writing is, and whether you need to provide a little more detail in the future, how the weekly topic relates to your expert group topic, how well you use external resources, not just the online textbook, but find articles that relate to the topic, and how well you use the concepts that we discuss in the course. Okay, so this is an online course, so obviously you don't show up for class. You participate by, being regular and timely in your participation in the class activities, turning in the assignments, participating in the group discussions. Typically, discussion-based assignments, the posts are due on Fridays and the comments are due on Sundays. So it gives people time in order to read your comments and to provide a response. In terms of late and makeup work, typically students will receive a 20% deduction on every day that the assignment is late. So for example, if assignment's 50 points, you turn it in one day late, the most you could receive would be 40 points, which, that 10% deduction is 20%. Okay, but turning in something late, while it's not advisable, it's certainly better than not turning it in at all. All right. Uh, so what's the course schedule? Well, I'm glad you asked. So we have our orientation week or week 0 because we're starting in the middle of the week. All right, where you basically need to read the syllabus. You need to acknowledge that you read the syllabus, complete the pre-course statement of understanding, select your group and topic, and participate in the networking discussion. Okay, to where you get to know everybody. All right, the following week is week 1, where we read chapter 1, and you'll have the class discussion, group expectations discussion. So you kind of outline how you're going to work together in the group. Then you will go on to chapter 2, which is the kind of the next period in history. All right. And you'll have a class discussion that week and a group activity, which would be the become a higher education history expert assignment. And you've got the week 3. So we're moving on to the next period of higher education history. You have a class discussion. Week 4, next, going on to the next period in higher ed, and also have a class discussion. Higher ed leader interviews due. All right, and then you've got week 5, then maintaining the diverse system and era of consolidation. You have a class discussion that week, and then you've got the webinar due the following week, or podcast. All right, and you're not doing a webinar or podcast, you're reviewing one. All right, and then you've got the final exams. Again, we'll do the final presentations. Turn in your final paper and presentation. Typically, the presentations are live on Tuesday night and Thursday night. Those are the only times you have to meet at a specific time in the course. And then Fridays when the paper and presentation are due to turn in. And that's also the day that the final exam opens, closes on a Sunday. And you'll also need to turn in your course feedback and your post-course statement of understanding. And then you have your final exam. Okay, we use Canvas as our learning management system if you're new to Tarleton. All right, that's how we communicate, where you turn in your assignments and I give you feedback. We've got information here about holidays, grade-related dates if you need them, as well as final exam and commencement if this is your last semester. All right, here's some learning resources, particularly related to writing, since we do some writing in these classes. So there is opportunity for you to kind of brush up on APA format if you haven't used it in a while, or if you're new to it, to learn about it. I also provide you feedback in the course the first few weeks to kind of say, hey, if you're having trouble with it, here's ways that you can, change it so that it fits the format. All right. So in terms of academic integrity, if it's an individual assignment, do it yourself. If it's a group assignment, you can collaborate. Attribute any other ideas. So if they're from articles, books, whatever, to those people who wrote those ideas originally. If they're your classmates, acknowledge your classmates' ideas. Okay, in terms of accessibility resources, make sure that if you need accessibility resources, that you communicate with the accessibility office, and they will communicate with me if any accommodations that you would need, and happy to provide those. All right. So academic affairs, in terms, again, core values, we talked about academic integrity, right? Civility. And, this means being polite. So it's how we communicate with each other. We do a lot of discussion. So you might say, you wouldn't say, I really don't like that you said this, it's wrong. You might say, hey, have you considered this? Or on the other hand, things like that. So just how we treat each other, how we communicate is really important. All right. And again, it's really important in an online class because sometimes you don't have the benefit of seeing how the person meant it. So all you can do is read the words, right? And so you want to make sure that you're communicating in a way that's respectful. All right. So academic excellence, maintaining our core values. All right. Make sure that you're participating in class, turning assignments in on time, putting your best effort in. you get what you get, you get what you put in, right? So, make sure you're going to learn more and get more out of this and help you in your career if you put in your full effort. All right. Think critically, reflect, use the feedback I provide you to grow, right? Okay. So, again, artificial intelligence is something that is here. Uh, I will say, I will let you know, generally speaking, uh, it's, I will tell you when assignments will require artificial intelligence in some way. So, uh, I'm not naive that it doesn't, I know that it exists. I know that it is something that's out there and it can be used and we will use it probably at least once in this course. Um, but just to make sure that I really want to hear from you is what are your thoughts? This isn't really a course where there are a lot of wrong answers. There are answers with evidence. So if you have a different perspective, that's okay. All right. I'm not here to teach you what to think. And, I'm teaching you sort of how to use evidence to support your ideas. So, make sure, that you give me your ideas because it's not, there's no real essentially value in, giving me something that computer generated because I want your ideas and your experience, right? And the computer's not going to have that. So, but there are going to be situations in your career where you may need to use it, and we do want to teach you those skills. And so, like I said, when we want to do that, we'll tell you when we'll use it and how we'll use it. Okay. So let's transition from the syllabus to the course in Canvas. So this is what you'll see when you log into the course. All right. So we'll actually go into the student view so you'll see it as you'll see it. All right. So, all right. So it'll look like this, and you'll see on the side, you'll have your to-dos, things that you'll need to complete. You got the navigation here on the left. Sometimes if you're on a phone or tablet, it'll be at the top. But you can see modules, grades, people, collaborations, announcements, and attendance. All right. You can always start here, or you can go to any of the weeks that you need to go to quickly. All right. Information here about, again, office hours, phone, email, a little bit of description about me and my background. I've been working in higher education in different capacities at both at community college as well as university level. So excited to be able to teach this course. Again, it's an online course, so make sure you put in your time. You can do it. Just put in the time, and resources. Obviously, these aren't not necessarily required to use Google Documents, but basically you got to have the ability when you need to be able to create documents, right? But so you need to be able to use the Canvas email, use word processing software, use different kinds of online presentation tools, create group presentation, use the library databases, and I've got some resources for you if you need help with that. All right, so let's click start here. All right, so you click through the modules. You can also just click modules, it'll go there. And you see, you can click to read the syllabus, right, which we just went through. You'll click here to acknowledge the syllabus. You'll click here to go to the student survey. If you're returning student, you've probably done one of these in one of my courses. I ask you to do it each semester just to make sure that I've got current information about you and how I can support you. Here's a video about how to use the Tarleton Library databases as well as Google Scholar to find articles. Information about it using APA format if you need that. Here's where you will go, and there'll be instructions in this assignment, but basically you need to go to the People tab and click the project groups, select your group that you want to be in, and then come back here and confirm that you've done that. All right. And and that's where you'll do the confirmation. So you need to do both of those things for this assignment. Here's the pre-course statement of understanding. All right. And that's where you kind of talk about what you already know about the topic. Here's the networking discussion where you introduce yourself to your classmates. All right, so here's week one. You'll have a knowledge or skill outcome. You separate everything into learning activities and action items. So again, you can read the syllabus if you haven't already. You have a link to the readings for week one, and there's also a summary video. You're not required to watch it, but students tend to find that it is helpful. Okay, so all right, action items. So here you're going to do the historical perspective of American higher education. That's the reading for the week. Again, posts are due on Friday, comments are due on Sunday, and you'll do the group expectations discussion. Okay. So that's essentially how each week is laid out. All right. You can see assignments for each week and readings for each week. All right. So, and then you'll have a link to the uh, higher ed history symposium and Zoom link. So you'll see like when we have it, it'll be there and you can watch or you can figure out, once we determine that who's presenting at what times, that information will be there. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure introducing you to the course and I look forward to learning with you. Bye.